To Eyewitness News. Hello, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. The claim and the charge against you, and you here being government and by extension the Ministry of Education, are feeding senior high school students with expired rice. And this is a claim made by a member of parliament for Northton who also occupies a chairmanship position of a committee of parliament. How do you respond to this?
Thank you very much, and good evening to you and your listeners. Ordinarily, I should not be seen as the one responding to this, but of course, looking at even how broadly it affects government, it becomes necessary that, of course, somebody from the Ministry of Education be responsible to same. So at the end of the day, this clearly has to do with the National Food and Buffer Stock Company Limited. But of course, most importantly, the Buffer Stock Company Limited, of course, engaged Lamens Ventures to procure rice for distribution to students under the free senior high school program. The facts are that a total of 11,000 metric tons of rice was imported, and the initial expiry date was December 2023. Of course, with the initial findings, we also have that by the last quarter of 2023, NAFCO, which is the Buffer Stock Company Limited, still had stocks here to be supplied to schools. And on the advice of the Food and Drugs Authority, Lamens Ventures had to go through the necessary protocols to have the rice retested in its country of origin, which happens to be India. Because at that time they were seeking to get FDA to extend the best before or the shelf life of the rice. And so after they had gone through all the required protocols in India where the rice was produced, the FDA had to evaluate and verify the documentation that followed. Of course, even verify with the laboratories where the test was done. And then subsequently extended the best before date to 30th April 2024. And by so doing, they had confirmed that the rice was wholesome to be used by the 30th of April 2024. It is important to know that by February 2024 was the last time Lamens even distributed this rice to schools through NAFCO. And at that time, when even the last distribution or supply was made to the school, the rice was declared wholesome by the Food and Drugs Authority. Of course, the issue of packaging, ordinarily Lamens who have spoken to that, but the briefing that I have is that it was to address concerns from schools regarding the rice perceived expiry date. And so consequently, they thought the best thing to do was to repackage it. But ideally, they should have rather gone with the new FDA approval extending the date of expiration. But bottom line is that the rice was certified by the FDA as wholesome for consumption before the distribution was made as at then. So for the purpose of records, avoidance of doubt, and for clarity purposes, the documentation that I have with me, checks with the FDA, indicates that the company had been able to secure an extension of the best before date after the rice had gone through all the laboratory protocols to be able to declare it as wholesome or fit for consumption.
I see. This sounds curious. Do you know when the rice was imported or when it was produced?
What I know is that the rice came into the country in 2023 and it was deemed to be expired by December 2023.
Okay.
But of course, as at then, I think what is really the most.
I wanted to know the production date. I wanted to see something. That's what I asked. If you don't have it readily available, it's okay. If you don't have, it's fine.
I do not have the production date of it.
No problem.
Have to.
But the question for a layman listening to us in traffic on his way home tonight is that if he gets home and he finds his food having the shelf date expiring, he can simply continue to eat it. That's what you are saying to us tonight.
Can you come again?
I'm saying that for the person listening to us in his car on his way home tonight, you are saying that we brought in rice which was to expire in December last year, and we
which
somehow
was due to be expired. Which was due to be expired.
Yes, they've written expiry date on it, so it means it was supposed to expire in December last year. You somehow managed, and you use the word, you took it to FDA. So essentially you managed to change the date from December to April this year. And as if that's not enough, you went to pour the rice out of the old bags and put it in new bags and gave it a new expiry date. That's what you have done in a layman person's language.
I think that is the most important reason why we are having this conversation. Of course, to educate and sensitize, and also to create awareness. That
if food expires, you can go and change it at FDA. Is that a normal thing?
I don't think that would be an appropriate interpretation of what I said. If you recall, and for the sake, I initially even told you that ordinarily I should not be the one speaking to this. Maybe for extension, you should have probably been speaking to the company. The company should have been responding to same. But I get the corporate responsibility, and of course, at the end of the day, still rests on government. But for emphasis, what I indicated was that, of course, I don't work with FDA. I do not entirely understand their full protocols. Maybe an expert in that field may be able to speak to you. But there is a protocol upon which, if a product has a best before date, let's say a date as A, the product can be retested and the best before date can be extended. So I'm sure those within the manufacturing field may be able to
respond to
have
that.
More insight and clarification to that.
If you could kindly...
Can I land respectfully?
Go ahead.
That the understanding that I have is that even when they wrote to FDA to seek to extend the best before date, FDA said within their protocols they are unable to even make that determination until the product has gone through certain protocols within the manufacturer's country, and where the manufacturers will have to go through their own internal protocols. Then based on that, FDA will be able to make a determination on it. So it followed their own internal protocols. I'm sure FDA may be able to give you real-time explanations as to what their protocols entail.
Very well.
But for to the layman, it is also fair to say that per the advice of the FDA, they have declared the product wholesome.
Okay. Please indulge me. I want to speak to the person who actually made these allegations first. So if you could just kindly stay on the line, I'll be grateful, Mr. Kwesi Kwatin. Honorable Samuel Ablakwa. Yeah, I'm saying that if you could kindly be on the line for me, I want to speak to the honorable member of parliament who first made this claim, to ask him if this explanation of yours would be satisfactory, because he's the first person to have made this statement. So if you don't mind, I'll be grateful if you can stay on the line. Honorable Samuel Ablakwa, Northtown MP, Chairman, Government Assurances Committee of Parliament. You're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Hi, thank you for having me, Umaru.
So you made this claim public, and then tonight the Ministry of Education spokesperson is saying to us that yes, it is true that the rice was brought into the country. Yes, the rice was due to expire in December last year, but they consulted the FDA, which conducted further checks and has agreed that the rice is still wholesome at least up to April this year, and that is why the rice was repackaged, the expiry date extended, and given to the students. Much ado about nothing, it will mean.
Well, good evening, Umaru. Good evening to the gentleman from the Ministry of Education, and good evening to all listeners. listening to Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng of the Ministry of Education, I've been asking myself why he's doing this to himself and the Ministry of Education. He is worsening matters. So Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng is telling us this evening that it is right for the Ministry of Education, the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, to conspire with Lamens Africa Investments Limited on the blind side of the FDA in flagrant violation of Act 851. Act 851, the Public Health Act, is very clear that you do not repackage, you do not rebag without the authorization of FDA. Our laws, including LI 1541, is also very clear that on no condition do you repackage, rebag, and fail to put a best before date or an expiry date. And for the avoidance of doubt, let me read LI 1541. It says, no person shall offer for sale, sell, distribute, import, or otherwise dispose of prepackaged food or drug unless the food or drug is marked or labeled with the name of the food or drug, a list of ingredients in the food or in respect of drugs, active ingredients, showing the amount of each present in the drug, an indication of the minimum durability in the form of date of manufacture, an expiry date or best before date or use by date in respect to the food, or date of manufacture and expiry date in respect of drugs. The Ministry of Education is telling the country this evening that they violated all these laws because what? Somebody advised them to do that.
He actually said the FDA.
They went to our schools. They went to our schools with repackaged, expired, contaminated food that did not have an expiry date. They had no business doing that. Are you aware that the FDA investigations also reveals that even where they did the rebagging, the buffer stock storage facility in Kumasi, it was not registered. Another egregious violation of Act 851. Are you also aware that, contrary to what Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng is saying, the company Lamens has admitted to wrongdoing, that they had no business engaging in this repackaging, in this rebagging, and has indeed paid a fine. Let me read Lamens' letter to you, dated 3rd January 2024, addressed to the Food and Drugs Authority. Attention Chief Executive Officer, dear sir or madam, unauthorized repackaging of Moshosho rice. We refer to the above subject matter, and your letter reference FDA/ASH/REG/ADM/CH23099 dated 29 December 2023. We hereby attach payment receipt for 50,000 Ghana cedis, being half of the administrative charge levied on our company for infractions. Emphasis mine, for infractions on sections 1031 and 1301 of the Public Health Act 2012 at 851. Signed, yours faithfully, David Ajefi Mensah, CEO. I mean, what convicts a man than his own words? So what is Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng telling us?
Okay, but Honorable Ablakwa, he mentioned that they consulted the FDA. The FDA did a search or a test on the rice and declared it wholesome, and that is why they proceeded to bag it or rebag it, which they didn't even need to do according to him. So the FDA element, as you've quoted from the regulation, appears to have been ticked. So the FDA is in on this. At least that's what the Honorable Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng is saying to us.
Again, another hogwash. I hold in my hands the FDA examination results dated 6 February 2024. Are you aware, Umaru, that before this examination results was issued, which is known as the submission of certificate of analysis, was issued on the 6th of February 2024, on orders from above, and for what the Ministry of Education is doing, clearly they are complicit, and they were issuing these orders. It confirms information I have received from top officials in this scandal. This submission of certificate of analysis dated 6 February did not declare this food as wholesome. I'll send you copies tomorrow. The FDA in this 6 February certificate says that the rice did not conform to standards when it comes to infestation of insects. The rice, the Moshosho rice, was heavily infested with insects, according to the FDA, not me. Then I also have here the same examination certificate assessing the fat acidity and saying that the fat acidity, 26.12%, 28.33 mgKOH, 100G, was too high and did not conform to standards. Talk to medical doctors about the implications of high fat acidity and insect infestation. I have the FDA documents here. I challenge him to produce what document he says they got from the FDA, which said that this rice was wholesome and that they could distribute it. They did the distribution on the 1st and 2nd of February, way before the FDA examination results were issued. Why didn't they wait for the FDA examination results? What was the indecent haste? Why didn't they value the health, the lives of our children in senior high schools? Didn't they tell us yesterday that they were going to conduct credible and impartial investigations? And he's already prejudicing this whole scandal by seeking to defend the criminal conspiracy that laments and the National Food and Buffer Stock, a matter in which laments has admitted guilt and has paid a fine. What's going on in this country? What do these people take us for? They don't value our lives. They have no respect for us. Because of money, because of corruption, they think that they can jeopardize the life of innocent children in our country. What is the Minister of Education telling us this evening? With the preponderance of evidence, the admission of guilt, even the letter by the Ashanti Regional Police Command. What is Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng telling us?
Thank you. You are a committee chair which usually checks whether government is doing what it does. So I'm not sure this would directly fall under your committee's ambit. But as a legislator, what can you or what will you do about this?
Certainly, we have discussed this at the leadership of my committee. We've also met with the leadership of the Education Committee. We are going to be hauling all of them before us. We cannot live with this. I mean, I'm totally traumatized. The evidence I have here, the documents I'm reading, and the sheer complicity. And I don't also understand why heads of these schools will receive repackaged rice without expiry dates. So even heads of our schools are questions to answer. And the Ministry of Education, that has today become spokesperson for that criminal company Laments, which has accepted culpability. A National Food Buffer Stock Company, we did not register the storage facility, according to the FDA report, which I hold in my hands, and did not have any business. Look, the only reason why they rebagged this rice is because they were concealing the fact that the rice has expired. Ask Kwesi Kwarteng, what could be the reason? Why did they have to rebag the rice? If you have nothing to hide,
very well.
If you knew that the rice had not expired, it was not contaminated, as the FDA examination certificate confirms, why did you secretly, in flagrant violation of our laws, on the blind side of the FDA, go and engage in this repackaging?
Thank you.
Look, this matter, they will not get away with it, I can assure you.
Thank you for speaking to us. That's Honorable Samuel Kudus Ablakwa. He's Northern Member of Parliament. Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng, so you've said that you did this with the blessing of the FDA. The Honorable Ablakwa says he has in his possession the report of the FDA, which came in February, which did not give the rice a clean bill of health as you claim. And also, even if it did, the certificate came in February, and yet you were distributing the rice through January and February. What is happening there?
I'm not sure I'm interested in the banter on radio.
No, there's no banter. He's done and he's gone. So you are the only one on the line now.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I have made my point. I have indicated that at the end of February, where Lament made their last distribution through NAFCO to the senior high schools, they had gotten an extension from the FDA. Of course.
When did the FDA issue this extension, sir?
I will just have to forward all the letters to you, to your producers. If you have the time, you may just have to give me a minute to confirm, because I'm dealing with a lot of documents.
Yes, please go ahead. It's important I give us a date. He says that the report came through from the FDA in February, and which report did not say that the rice was wholesome. He talked about infestation by insects.
The letter I have with me here is dated 15 January 2024. And if you go to my Facebook page, I've taken a shot of all these documents, of course, for the review of the public, so that they can make their own, conclusions. I should think that ordinarily the Honorable Ablakwa should be happy that indeed at the end of even investigations, this rice was wholesome.
No, so what did the 15 January letter say? You've just said a date.
I'm coming. I'll get it, but it almost appearing that the motive was not to help protect the safety and health and well-being of our students, but of course to score the usual political points. But I mean, the 15th January 2024, if I should just quickly read a headline: application for self-life extension of Mosquito White Double Polished Sportex Indian Rice 25% broken. I'm just going straight to where the grant was made. Based on the evaluated information provided above, and that of the FDA's CLSR analytical report attached, a temporary extension of the best before date of the rice Mosquito White Double Polished Sportex Indian Rice 25% broken can be granted only to 30th April 2024. This letter is dated 15 January 2024. So I really don't get what Mr. Ablakwa is saying. And you, of course, you are, credible media houses. You can just verify and confirm from FDA which of us is making the right claim. But for us in the Ministry of Education, that is not our priority. It's not to make the news of this.
I'm just looking at the letter you referenced, which you've put on your Facebook.
It's even on my Facebook.
Yes, I'm just looking at it now. The opening paragraph doesn't look good. Which you did not read. I'm going to read it.
Let me share.
No, it's fine. I'll just read it. I'm on your Facebook, so I'm going to read the letter for my audience. It says, the analytical reports that were attached to your letter dated 4th December 2023 on the above mentioned subject, which comprised of certificate of analysis from the Food Research Institute for the under listed test: 1. Heavy metals, lead and arsenic. 2. Pesticide residues. And 3. Aflatoxin, B1, B2, G1.
Which of the letters are you reading?
This letter is 15 January 2024, addressed to the CEO of the Laments Investment from FDA. And so it is saying that the rice has in it 1. Heavy metals, namely lead and arsenic. 2. Pesticide residues. And 3. Aflatoxin, B1, B2, G1, and G2. Even though the last paragraph says that it has been temporarily extended, the best before date, to 30th April 2024, the first paragraph sounds scary, does it not?
I'm not sure you understood the first paragraph. Let's all read it. The analytical reports that were attached to your letter dated 4th December 2023 on the above named subject, which comprise of certificates of analysis from the Food and Research Institute for the underlisted test. These were the tests that were made. Heavy metals, pesticide residues, aflatoxin. So they are not saying that these were found in
okay, so it's a conclusion that we should work with.
No.
Which says that based on the evaluated information provided above.
Umaru, let's be fair to ourselves. See, they are only saying that, I just read it, it's on my Facebook. They are saying that these tests were carried. They mentioned the test, heavy metal test, pesticide residue test, aflatoxin test. I mean, it's clear they are not saying that they were found in the rice. And that's why they went on to say that letter from your assistant, blah, 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 blah. And then they go to the third point that based on, so they are saying that you've already done this test, and that attachment, the report you've attached, they are not saying that these heavy metals were found in the rice.
Very well.
That was a test that were carried
conducted.
on, by the conducted.
Do we still have the rice, or it's finished?
My understanding is that in terms of the arrangement that Buffer Stock had with Lames on February, by the end of February, they ceased the distribution of the rice.
Ceased distribution because it has finished, or because they've just stopped?
You see, they had clearance to only distribute the rice, or the rice was wholesome up to the 30th. Up to, let me confirm the date, up to the 30th of April 2024. Beyond that, Lame's rice is not being distributed again.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Kwesi Kwarteng. He speaks for the Ministry of Education. Earlier you heard Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa. This is